Welcome to the Cross Examiner. Today we're going to be looking at the reenactment of Pride and Prejudice in Pride and Prejudice Atlanta. So what did you think about this movie?
So this movie was definitely a Lifetime movie. It wasn't as dramatic as the novel, but it was dramatic in a whole other sense, you know?
Yeah, definitely a lot of cheese.
Yes, in terms of the acting, the very, jump cutty scenes and everything.
Mm-hmm. But definitely there were many similarities between Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. The one that jumped out at me, not the most, but it was like a subtle similarity. There's a scene where Miss Bennet jokingly says to Lizzie, "Oh, chapter 8, remember, let the man feel needed." And that just reminded me of in Pride and Prejudice, where Mr. Collins reads the book about rules of etiquette for women to the Bennets. And I thought by them putting that in the reenactment alluded to how there's a reference to a system of rules that women have to go by to get a husband. So I thought that was interesting.
Yes, that was definitely a great similarity, and it tied back to the book completely. Another similarity within the characters is Lydia is definitely still the wild child in the family.
Mm-hmm.
She, in the movie, she's very rebellious. She uses Tinder, and she hooks up with Wickham all the time.
Yeah, like an older guy.
And,
yeah.
And then ultimately, towards the end of the movie, she actually gets pregnant by Wickham. And so, tying back to the book, she's very wild.
Goes against the norm
Yes.
of what's expected. Yeah, definitely. The biggest difference, obviously, was that it was set in modern times, so they were using phones. They make a reference to that scene in Pride and Prejudice when Jane has to take the carriage to the Bingleys, right? And then the mom's like, "Oh no, just take an Uber." So that was kind of funny to see. And then in addition to that, Jane was actually a widow and a mother. So going off modern times, how, it's not, women don't have to get married, then have kids, it's...
Yeah.
It's different, yeah.
Yeah, it's more...
It's more normal.
Yeah, more normal to get remarried if you're a widow and already have kids, and hopefully the man will understand that.
Yeah.
Lizzie, another difference is that Lizzie, she didn't really challenge Darcy out of, their difference in opinions and his job versus what she did, for a living, which was really, protest against kind of gentrification in her neighborhood and trying to save
It was called the Strand. It was an old movie theater.
Yeah. So she really wanted to preserve her town.
Mm-hmm.
And so the kind of
going into that, how their image of love.
Yeah, she didn't really seem as hateful towards him. Not hateful, but as kind of angry at him as she did in the novel.
Yeah, in the novel, Elizabeth kind of went at Darcy because she just really didn't like him, I guess. Yeah, she didn't
have much to do.
Yeah, they had a very clear opposition in views, and in this adaptation of it, Lizzie kind of seemed to argue with him just to get a reaction. So I thought that was very apparent, and that goes into how the image of love was reimagined in this movie. Maybe it's because it's a Lifetime movie and it's cheesy, so
right.
The emotion wasn't really apparent as it was in the novel, but there wasn't really any conflict, and they fell in love kind of fast, so it kind of took away from that build-up that we saw in the novel. And then why people should watch this or should care to watch this movie. It was really interesting to see this storyline in modern times, I thought, especially since Pride and Prejudice was written so long ago.
How kind of basic the plot of the novel is. It's still super relevant, and of course it was tweaked for the movie. In terms of the cast, it was African American, and the fact that they could change the entire race of the family and it still work, it shows how it was very basic plot line.
Yeah, like definitely seeing the movie go from scene to scene, I could really tell how basic the storyline really is and why there are so many readaptations of it. Because people could really take it, make it their own. Like Ariana said, just make it relate to themselves. So yeah, you guys should definitely check out Pride and Prejudice.
It's worth the watch if you can get through the cheese.
Definitely.